What do you do if you're a guy my age and you're alone and you're single and you want to do something and it's a Saturday night and you don't have anything lined up to do, but you know about a jazz club in Boston that you've been to before and they have jazz every single night. But first of all, you have to force yourself to get there. You have to drive. It's down in the South and terrible parking. So you have to park illegally somewhere. And you know that it's going to be a hassle, but you do it. And I did it last night, and it worked out. And it overcame some of the loneliness. And it was chutzpah and soul being used, being channeled by me to overcome the loneliness and the isolation. So here's the story. I walk over to the bar, to the restaurant. It's not a restaurant, to the bar. And first good sign was the bouncer just lets me in, no cover charge. I get in, the place is a tiny place. You could say crowded like sardines, but that's a cliche. I walk in, I find the woman who's one of the bartenders, and I ask her to help me get a seat. And there's some seats on these benches right at the wall. And there was a little bit of room, and she opened it up for me, sitting at a table with these two guys. Immediately, we got into a great conversation, and I liked both of them. They were young guys, pretty young, and they were good friends. One of them was visiting from Germany. The other guy lives in Arlington, scientist. After they left, there were women who were walking by, and I motioned to them, hey, I've got room. I just kind of put my arm out, showing that there was room on the bench. That was about two of the women, or maybe three, and one or two of them sat down. And then there was these other women, and I said to the women who sat down next to me, I said, wait a minute, I wanted them to sit next to me, not, whatever, meaning I would really beckon the other ones, and these other ones sat next to me. Anyway, we all got a laugh out of that. Well, what happened was they were friends, and it turned out they were all Northeastern undergrads, Northeastern University, and they all knew each other, and they were all female. And they kept coming and coming and coming. And I was starting to feel like a kid in a candy store. I felt blessed. I really did feel blessed. These were all not just attractive, but nice and friendly and kind of spontaneous, like me. And there was none of that uptightness that we get often between men and women. And I'm a much older man in this part of the country. People have this natural fear of an older man. They didn't act that way at all. So I kept getting more and more spontaneous with them and more humorous. And I told them about my podcast. I held up one of these cards and I gave it to them. That's upside down. And I gave it to them. I gave them some copy and told them about it. And they got interested. I did explain the word chutzpah, I believe, which is always a fun thing to do. And so that kept the conversation going. And it opened up and opened up and opened up. And then I came up with this really chutzpah idea, which was not a new idea. It wasn't something planned, and it wasn't something staged, and it wasn't me manipulating it all. It was something I instinctively had liked doing in the past. And I'll explain it. I like arm wrestling, particularly with women. No, I'm not a bully. I don't want to win. I just like meeting women who are strong. And they don't have to be just physically strong, but mentally strong, who know how to stand up for themselves. That is a strong criteria for me. Now, I wasn't looking to date these women, but it was like a way to just kind of assess them and kind of enjoy them. It's an enjoyable thing. Um, so I did, and the women were really encouraging each other and me, and they knew that at least one of them, for example, was very strong. So It started out with her. And I'm not good at remembering facts. I tell people I don't remember facts so well. I remember themes. So I don't remember how many I won, how many they won. I know that I arm wrestled with at least 2 or 3 women and then one guy, which I'll get to at the end. Um, so I guess maybe I won all of the things, all the matches, women, maybe not. I'm left handed. I think one of them beat me with the right arm. But, and the thing is, at one point I was worried because I recently was in the hospital with some blood clotting and I was really straining at various times, really straining. And I was a little bit worried, whoa, maybe I'm doing too much, but I wasn't. And it kept going and it was really strong. It was really fun because it was hard. And we were all laughing. Well, I wasn't laughing during it, but they were all laughing and pictures were being taken and everything. And then finally, this young black guy who was hanging out with them also, he challenged me. And we started, anyway, he beat me 3 times in a row, but with a lot of effort. And they were all surprised that I was, quote, that strong. And I don't know why people often say that. I don't think I give off a weak image at all, but people are very deferential to you when you reach a certain age, which leads to more loneliness and isolation. If people are always acknowledging, sometimes it's nice, but when they're always deferring and thinking that you're, quote, special or you have special needs, then you're not part of the group. And you want to be part of the group, even if the group is so much younger than you. And how many people my age who are alone and solo would have the chutzpah and the wherewithal to do this? Like almost nobody. So place is called Wally's. It's a jazz place, jazz every single night. And I've gone there a few other times. And I can't almost ever get somebody to go with me. However, the place is multi-generational. How many places in the United States are public places that are multi-generational? How about almost zero? And how about that I bring this up all the time and tell my friends, yeah, but in Latin America, everything is done in a multi-generational way. Anyway, back to Wally's, I feel comfortable. I'm not the oldest person, or even if I am, it's not, nobody's looking at me. There's nothing weird. And there's a lot of multiracial, a lot of guys going out with women of a different race and so forth. Women going out with guys of a different race, interracial mix. I love it. And it's not one of these places where you have to look lousy to get in. You can dress sexy, you don't have to. So I'm feeling really comfortable. And then there are these 2 young guys sitting next to me. One was Indian, and the other was black, good friends. And they start asking me about kind of my philosophy of life and what do I think is important, what advice I could give them. And I start thinking about a number of things. And I might have gone off into the existential philosophy thing, but of course I decided not to. And I told them the most important thing is curiosity. Use curiosity. Always use curiosity. And then as I was about to leave, just a few minutes later, the guy said to me something about what's your advice about with women, men and women, something about that. And I immediately said something that nobody says anymore, and it's definitely chutzpah, but it's also the truth, in my opinion, and it's also something that needs to be said a lot. And I said, don't let women dominate you. Don't let women dominate you. Look for equality. Look for equality. That's where we've gone wrong, very wrong. In the US, things swing from one pendulum to the next. One part of the pendulum back and forth, back and forth. So it was men dominating, now women dominating. What about some equilibrium? What about some equilibrium? And equilibrium Again, I'm not going too far here. Equilibrium in the culture would help reduce the loneliness and isolation, because if you're not used to the way it's gone now, like those of us baby boomers, many of us are not used to the way a lot of things are going now, including how women react to men. And if it wasn't that extreme, we wouldn't feel as put off, as distant, as cautious. How do you break through caution, chutzpah, and soul? And where is the soulful part of all this? I've talked about chutzpah, I've talked about loneliness, and I've got to get down to the soul. Well, the soul is protected through the use of chutzpah. You use the chutzpah to satisfy your soul and keep your soul, let's say, watered like a plant. Keep your soul functioning. Keep your soul safe and energetic and hopeful. Keep hope alive, as Obama used to say. Keep hope alive. And if you keep hope alive, you'll keep your soul alive. They're both that go together. So I say, use your chutzpah, keep your soul alive, break down the barriers, use your curiosity, and heal yourself. Heal yourself by stepping past loneliness and isolation. And Johnny says, this is report from the front lines, report number 1.